And finally, the motherboard. I went with this. An Asus Strix B550-A gaming. The price to performance ratio was there. Asus is the only board that I use in my builds because I know them. Not to say there aren't other excellent boards out there, but you know, I know my way around their BIOS. I know my way around their support software. Yes, Aura Sync and Armory Crate blow, but that's not a priority here. B550, cheaper than X570. He doesn't really need X570. He's only gonna be running one video card. As long as we have enough ports for future expansion, he might get a better, different audio interface or whatever. But the important thing here, and the reason why I like Strix boards, they are, from what I can tell, better than the Prime boards, but they have a couple extra features that are sweetening the deal. Holy frick, bud, what is wrong here? Get out. So check marking off the boxes that we were looking for in this particular build. We have what I assume is going to be a decent VRM, something that's going to get the most out of that 3800X processor. Again, we're not overclocking, but we want that PBO to do its thing. And I know that that processor is very capable. We have enough expandability for anything he wants to do in the future. If he needs to get an upgraded sound card, interface upgrade, NVMe storage, stuff like that. We do have the two NVMe. We're gonna run our main one here, and we're gonna run our second one here, which is standard now, but to have both heat sinks on them, that's a value add. We got our addressable RGB. What's this? ADD Gen 2. What's an ADD Gen 2? Stage 2 attention deficit disorder. Oh, shiny. Again, not really something that's a concern here. It just so happens the case we got for him does have addressable RGB, so it's gonna get used. This board has a T sensor. You need that if you're water cooling. MSI, you need a T sensor if you're water cooling. Now, one thing that I love about the Strix boards that's not applicable here is the Supreme FX audio. Contrary to what Bitwit would tell you, your sound cards are still relevant, and one thing you are paying for with the higher end board is better quality sound. I've tested this. I can tell the difference. My Strix FX470 board definitely sounds better than my B450 Prime board. Of course, he doesn't need that, but that's fine. Oh, look at that. You know it must have a good VRM if they're gonna put that many CPU power connectors on it, right? I don't know. We'll use one of them. But hey, it's a nice snazzy looking board. Possibly not too shiny. The way these guys look here, it doesn't look like they have a whole bunch of RGB in this guy. So hey, it's a gaming board, but some of the gaming boards are a very good option if you want a budget-oriented workstation platform. Because the actual boards marketed for workstations are, well, they charge a lot of friggin' money for them. You're not actually sure what you're getting. You got your Prime Pro board. That's gonna be a good workstation board, but it's X570 spec, so it's a bit more board than you might need. So hey, a good gaming board in the price point you want to spend might suffice your workstation needs. Oh, what do we got here? SATA cables, breed in captivity, some sort of specialty adjustable RGB connector, more zip ties. Whoa, is that a keychain? That's a fancy ROG keychain. I might ask him if he wants this. The M2 screws, still giving to you in a baggie and not putting them on the board. What's this guy? Stick this pad onto the existing M2 pad for use on single-sided M2 SSDs. I guess that's... Oh, there's a little support base there. Okay. Is that what I was missing in that last build that I did? We got all sorts of ROG stickers here. What is this? Thank you for purchasing your ROG Strix product. You've made the choice of champions. I'm sure. Look at all these. Did my board come with all this, or is this new? Look at all this. Wow. All right. Flashy. How much am I paying for that? This is so I can see it. We got to install a CPU and a CPU cooler here, so. Where is the triangle? There's the triangle lines up like this. Bloop. I simply rest my finger on it. It's in close. And there's where you will stay for the next 10 years. I built this guy's last digital audio workstation. It is a dual core Athlon 64. He says he wants to keep it to use as an internet machine now. It's never been on the internet. He's only used it as a workstation. I warned him the second he plugs that into the internet, it's gonna grind to a halt. But that system is about 10 years ago I built it, and it hasn't failed him. That's what happens if you spec out a system right. I wonder if these newfangled are gonna last 10 years. Somehow I doubt it. Before I put on the big bulker, let's tend to these M2s, shall we? So we're finding in practice, at least in the last build, that sometimes you mount these heat sinks on there, they start to press down and bow on the M2. So it seems to us that the modern solution to this modern problem is these little pads. Now, are these even single side SSDs? Let's see. Give me the gum stick. Gum. So yes, it's single-sided. Let's put a little sticky flicky on there. I guess we stick this onto that square. Careful now, careful. We need it to center. So perfect. Boop, good enough. All right, well, just, you know, let's broke one of these. Does the at least still give you these guys? They're handy. Snug her up, plop her in. Ah, okay. It's still like, it still doesn't touch the thing. So that's pointless unless they want you to double it up. Well, let's see how this sits. I'm not gonna take the plastic off yet. I wanna, because it looks like that's a new thing we have to do. Fit our SSD heat sinks. All right, bud, how's the look? Yeah, it's definitely bending that SSD. Nice. So they need to give us more of these. Let's see how the other one fits before we move forward. You know, in a world of infinite cost cutting, I don't know why they don't just make these the same. Looks like they are cross compatible with each other. Oh, this gum is blue and red flavor. Yeah, those pads are not wide enough for an actual single-sided SSD. What is Asus thinking? And again, this one does bend. Not as badly. Right. This is definitely adding interest to the computer building process. Yeah, it makes me wonder, how did it fit in my computer? Because I don't remember this being a problem. We need something else to stick there. It is quite silly that I must resort to such solutions, sir. But, well, what can you do? So how much clearance do we need? Okay, well, these ones will be too thick. These little cones might work. All right, so that cone is too tall now. And it might opposingly flex bow it upwards. But I think the idea is, yeah, like it's pushing it up. But I believe the effect I'm going for here is once I have this heat sink on, it's gonna push it back down and flatten it out. Better do that soon. I don't want that much tension on this guy. It's a bit too much, I don't like it. All right, Asus, give us more rubber pads. Yeah, because you're totally watching. I think if you were actually watching, you'd have fixed Aura Sync by now, instead of replaced it with something that works even worse. All right, here's cutting ourselves. Just taking a little off the top here. I did not expect to be doing precision fitting today. Actually, I think that'll be good like that. Let's try it. Yeah, it's not bowing too much. Just subtle, just to say you could tell it's putting some upward pressure. But once the heat sink's in place, it's nice and flat. All right, crisis averted. Let's officiate this installation. To do this, we will engage in a little whiff of surface prep. Rub it down with some alcohol, even though that's a bit redundant for this kind of situation. And then we have to do a peel here, sir. I know, you computer geeks, you tune in for the peels, don't you? Oh, look at that. Oh. All right, that's one M2 installed. Now, hopefully, because I saved one of the rubber pads, that's one of the reasons why I went through that fuss over there, is that I could take the other rubber pad and plop it over here where we need more height for the main M2. And how's our clearance now? Yeah, it feels like it's properly supporting it. So 2 pads is just perfect. So Asus needs to ship with 4 pads if we have 2 M2 heat sinks. I think you know it. Done with these. Again, a little bit of get that greasy crap off there. Another sensual peel. And our heatsink is on, and it's not bowing. Now the only problem we have here is we have both heatsinks installed, and generally when I install Windows, I only have the boot drive connected, because there's a chance Windows might get confused. It might see the SATA drive first on a SATA port, detect it as drive 0, and then when we go and install our Windows, it will assign drive C to the second drive and not the first drive. Now mind you, I also believe that's an older problem from, you know, Windows 7, Windows past days that shouldn't be as applicable to Windows 10. Or at least we're gonna find out. Fortunately, this thing is in a spot I can remove it if I have to, whereas that's gonna get buried. How about some RAM? This RAM has served me well. It was one of the few things that I didn't upgrade in my personal computer. And now I'm selling it because I went and wasted money on 32 gigs and I need the money to build tube amps. Now, without looking at the manual, I'm just guessing what slots we have to put this in. And it's usually those slots.